Have you ever wondered what really makes a country rich? It's not just about having oil or a huge population. The real answer is deep inside the mechanics of economic growth. Today, we're going to pop the hood and really look at the engine that powers a country's journey from poverty to prosperity.
And if you want to see this engine in action, you just have to look at Cambodia. Between 1993 and 2022, its economy per person didn't just grow, it went supernova. It multiplied by more than 7 times. That's an average growth rate of almost 7% every single year for nearly 3 decades. Now, this isn't just a number on a chart. We're talking about a massive, life-changing shift for millions and millions of people.
So, the big question is, how on earth does a country pull something like that off? And maybe even more importantly, how do they keep that incredible momentum going? That's the puzzle we're going to tackle today.
All right, to figure this out, we've got to start with the classics. Our first stop is the solo growth model. You can think of this as like the original engine, the Model T of economic growth theories. At first glance, the answer seems super simple, right? If you want to make more stuff, you just get more stuff to make it with. That means more machines, more factories, what the economists call capital, and of course, more people to run them, which is labor. Seems pretty straightforward.
So this slide really boils it all down. That little equation just says that an economy's total output, everything it produces, which we call Y, is basically a function of the capital, K, and the labor, L, that you throw at it. More inputs, you get more outputs. And for a long, long time, this was pretty much the whole story.
But, and this is a huge but, it turns out this simple engine has a built-in problem. A speed limit, you could say.
And here's the problem. It's called the law of diminishing returns. Let's make this super simple. Imagine you give a farmer their very first tractor. Whoa, it's a total game changer, right? Their output goes through the roof. Now, what if you give them a second tractor? Yeah, it helps. They can work a bit more land. But that jump in productivity, it's not nearly as big. A third tractor? A 10th? At some point, you're just crowding the field. The extra benefit gets smaller and smaller and smaller. So here's the takeaway. You can't get rich forever just by piling up more of the same stuff. Eventually, that growth engine just sputters out.
Okay, so if the first engine is flawed, what do? Well, you upgrade it. If just adding more machines isn't the whole answer, maybe we need to upgrade the other part of the equation, the people. And that brings us to something called human capital.
Right, so if that accumulation engine starts to run out of steam, what's the secret ingredient? What are we missing here?
The answer, and this was a total game changer, is human capital. This idea came from a few economists, Mankiw, Romer, and Weil, and they basically said, hey, it's not just about having more workers, it's about having better workers, people who are healthier, who have skills, who have knowledge. And this totally changes how you think about things like education or healthcare. Suddenly, they're not just social spending, they are vital, essential inputs for production.
And this isn't just theory. It brings us right back to Cambodia. When you hear about their Vision 2050 plan and the focus on human resources, this is why. It's not just some nice phrase in a government document. It's a mathematical requirement. If they want to keep that amazing growth going and avoid that diminishing returns trap, investing in a skilled, educated workforce isn't optional. It's everything. All right, so we've got more machines and we've got smarter, healthier workers. That's way better. But is it enough to truly escape the gravity of diminishing returns forever? For that, we need something else. A real breakthrough. And this is where Nobel Prize winner Paul Romer comes in, and he gives us the key to potentially limitless growth.
And that brings us to something called endogenous growth theory. Sounds fancy, right? But the core idea is actually pretty simple. Endogenous just means coming from within. The theory says that real, long-lasting growth isn't about piling up more stuff from the outside. It's about generating new ideas and new innovations from inside the economy itself.
Now, to really get this, you have to understand a fundamental difference between two types of things in the world. On one hand, you've got what we call rival goods, like a tractor. It's simple. If I'm using it, you can't. It's a one-person-at-a-time deal. But then, you have non-rival goods. Think about the design for a new airplane wing or a line of software code. You and I can both use that exact same idea at the exact same time, and it never, ever runs out.
And that right there is the magic bullet. Ideas are non-rival. They can be shared, copied, and built upon infinitely without ever being used up. This is how you escape diminishing returns. A single great idea can boost the productivity of one factory or 1,000 factories or 1,000,000 people all at the same time. This is the secret sauce for sustained long-term growth.
Okay, so if ideas are the rocket fuel, you still need a launch pad, right? You need an operating system to run the whole thing. So why do some countries become idea factories, churning out innovations, while others just
don't. This brings us to the final and maybe the most important piece of our puzzle.
This is the huge question that guys like Darren Acemoglu and James Robinson cackled. And their answer was a big deal. It's not about geography, it's not about culture, it's about the rules of the game, the fundamental setup of the economy, what we call institutions. And the process that these institutions absolutely have to support is called creative destruction. Yeah, it sounds a little scary, but it's the engine of all progress. It's that constant churning process where new, better, more innovative companies and technologies replace the old, outdated ones. Think about how Netflix basically made video rental stores extinct, or how the smartphone made a dozen other gadgets disappear from our pockets.
So just how big a deal is this? Well, studies show that over the long haul, this process of creative destruction is responsible for, get this, over half of all productivity growth. Let that sink in. This isn't just some side effect of a healthy economy. It is the main event. It's the economy's way of shedding its old skin and evolving into something stronger and better.
So, when you lay it all out, the path to real, lasting prosperity becomes super clear. Step 1, you need strong institutions. We're talking about things like property rights, so no one can steal your stuff, patent laws to protect your new ideas, and just a general rule of law you can count on. Step 2, those rules create powerful incentives. Think about it. If you know you can profit from your invention, you're a lot more motivated to invent something, right? And step 3, that unleashes the force of creative destruction, driving the whole economy forward as new industries are born and old ones fade away.
So let's zoom out and look at the big picture here. This whole journey we've been on, from basic inputs to complex ideas, it's really the story of how an economy grows up. On one hand, you have the solo world. This is where growth comes from accumulation, just building more of the same stuff. It's a fantastic way to get off the ground, but it has a ceiling. You eventually hit that wall of diminishing returns. But then you have the roamer world. Here, growth comes from innovation, from discovering completely new and better ways of doing things. And because this world runs on the infinite fuel of ideas, the potential for growth is, well, pretty much endless.
And that brings us right back to where we started, with Cambodia. The country has had this incredible run in the solo world, the world of accumulation. But now it's at a crossroads. It has to make the leap into the roamer world of innovation. But here's the tough part. You can't just tell a country to innovate. That's not a plan. Innovate what? What products should they focus on? What new industries should they build? To figure that out, you don't just need a powerful engine. You need a map. And exploring that map, well, that's what we'll be doing next.